Hey, what's up everyone? It's Reed Young for transformpoker.com, and today we're going to be checking out a four-handed 5-10 hand that this dude Killy posted. It's a pretty cool spot, and I think one a lot of people kind of get scared in, especially at like lower to mid stakes. So let's get into the action. Pre-flop, the cutoff raises, who's also under the gun. The button calls, presumably with a pretty wide range there. You can see he only has 69 big blinds, so he's probably some sort of fish or weaker player. It's a little bit more likely it's that than he just forgot to rebuy or something like that, since you guys can set the auto rebuy thing and most good players do that. So the button calls and we squeeze out of the small blind. I think the sizing is great and the spot is great for a hand like ace-jack. Even wider really given the fish, because what's going to happen is the cutoff is put in a tough spot because he has the fish still yet to act. Who knows if he's just going to jam pocket eights or something like that. And then we get to play a heads up pot with the fish a decent amount of the time with a hand that dominates a lot of his calling range. So everything's looking good there. And we also do have some folding equity pre-flop, of course. So potential to make money that way too. So all's looking good. The big blind folds and only the cutoff calls. So kind of an unexpected outcome in that regard, because the fish is getting really, really good pot odds pre-flop. So maybe he folds something like, Queen 10 offsuit that he is just worried that he's getting crushed. Not really sure, but I don't think it's too important for the hand. We flop top pair, top kicker, great flop for us, and we bet just about half pot here. And I think you really could bet larger with the intention of getting it in on the turn a lot of the time on this type of board texture, because it's so draw heavy and we miss the board so often that giving your opponent pretty bad pot odds is a nice thing that you can do and just work in a two-street betting strategy. That said, I think that you can balance both strategies, having kind of like a decent three-street strategy to get in a lot of gut shots and put them in tough spots on the flop, or maybe have your opponent float you with something like king-queen with a club with the intention, he probably has the intention of bluffing the turn. Not a lot of people do that, but if you give them good odds on the flop, people will try to get creative in dumb spots. So we bet half pot on the flop. I think it's fine. You can go either way, I think, and it's pretty tough to justify one way or the other, absolutely, given pre-flop action and the history that Killy's posted here. So we bet half pot on the flop. We get called a lot of the time. I would just expect this to be some sort of like medium strength hand or float, because a lot of the draws are going to be combination draws or connecting with the board in another way. So he'll have like two overs in a flush draw, or an open-ended straight flush draw, or like a gut shot and a flush draw, something like that. So when you just get called on the flop, I think ace-jack is looking pretty great. Maybe like a small consideration could be that he slow plays a bit more often given the weaker players yet to act, but I don't think that should really change our play with top pair, top kicker. Maybe if we had like queen jack suited, I might check the flop a bit more often, something like that, just to get a little sneaky and do some action that way, while also protecting our checking range, which we need to do if his range is a little bit stronger when he's calling pre-flop. So anyway, on to the river. Or onto the turn, we bet half pot again, and the cutoff goes all in, and we end up folding. And I think this is kind of one of those spots in middle stakes where maybe a lot of people aren't bluffing here. But the thing I think that this guy betting ace-jack on the turn should consider is, first off, this is really close to one of the best hands he's going to have in this spot, especially if he is squeezing widely pre-flop like we talked about to isolate the weaker player. So top pair, top kicker is actually a great hand here, even though there are probably a few times where you're going to be, drawing dead once you bet call the turn. I think your equity is still good enough against a lot of bluffing hands and those likely floats that we talked about, 7-8 of spades, king queen with a club, things like that. So as long as your opponent is capable of bluffing often enough in this spot, then easy call for you, because we're at the top of our range. However, you need to weigh that against your opponent's likelihood to bluff. If he's just not bluffing enough of the time in proportion to how often he has a flush or a hand like pocket fives, then you're just lighting money on fire bet calling when you're drawing dead. having a hand like ace-jack with the ace of clubs makes a huge difference in this spot because your equity goes up to, you know, about 20%, probably 18%, counting that sometimes he'll have a club blocker as well. So, you know, your chances of winning there go way up compared to bet calling and likely either beating a semi-bluff and being like a 3-to-1 favorite thereabouts, or drawing dead. So you guys can weigh the pros and cons there. And if you enjoyed this video, feel free to share it with a poker buddy and subscribe to our channel if you're new. I'll see you guys next time.